News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good morning to you. We are live and this is Newsline from the News First studios in Dawson Street in Colombo and broadcasting on TV1, part of the Capital Maharaja Group. And this morning, I'd like to play you a little clip of somebody rather important saying something absolutely significantly important. Listen up.
Democracy is not an option, it's a must. Thank you very much.
Democracy is not an option, it is a must. So says Elections Commissioner Mahinda Deshapriya. To discuss that and a little bit more too, and especially the delimitation process, and is it really as complicated as it's made out to be, is Mr. Maitri Gunaratne. Very good morning, Maitri Gunaratne.
Morning, Faraz. It's nice to be back on this show.
Indeed, thank you very much. We'll now, Producer Maxwell, Warren Maxwell, will now be glad that you are actually appeared on the show.
With all the accusations that I was avoiding appearing on the
Yes,
show.
yes. So there you are, Maxwell. He's here. He's right here in person. I know that it's difficult getting guests on the program, and we appreciate all the hard work that goes towards producing Newsline. One day we'll take you behind the scenes, behind the news, and we'll show you how really difficult it is to put something out. Anyway, Maitri Gunaratne, you heard what Mahinda Deshapriya had to say, and at the same time, everyone is talking about this blessed thing, delimitation. And it is the word that was used by Faisal Mustafa to prolong the franchise at the local government level for over 2.5 years. And he used various skills, legal and otherwise, including a memorable bit during that process in which he said that there were loads of spelling mistakes and that they were correcting spelling mistakes. Poor Faisal didn't know about the F7 button that when you're typing in a Word document, you know, you press the F7, it checks your spellings. Anyway, is it as complicated as that? Why do we need another one? It's already done now. Why can't, isn't it the same one and the same thing?
Yeah. For us, what happens is the difficulty is doing the first delimitation.
Yeah.
For the local government election, a delimitation was done, and the wards were divided. Each ward had about 3,500 to 4,000 votes.
Right.
So that is how the wards were identified, and they did that delimitation process.
Yeah.
A ward consists of in some places 2 to 3 Grama Sevaka divisions. So all that is now with technology, it's on the computer. You can get it on your screen, and within 2 weeks, maximum of 2 weeks, you can do any kind of delimitation.
Yeah.
You can make any electorate to any size or reduce it, right, on the computer. Because the elections department has all the information with regard to family members, Grama Sevaka divisions, the ethnicity, all that.
Yeah.
All that is there.
Yeah.
So it is not a very difficult process.
So it's not rocket science.
It is not rocket science. It is easy as falling off a log.
Right.
So this is only an excuse to delay the process. Now for us, in which part of the world do you get a minister presenting a bill in parliament and that very minister voting against that bill? I mean, this is an absolute joke. They are making a mockery of democracy.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is fond of talking about Westminster-style democracy, one that he doesn't practice himself. But what about Faisal Mustafa? What's he doing?
I mean, I don't think...
Is he going to the highest bidder? What's he doing?
No,
why is he acting in such a way?
I mean, I met him personally.
Yeah.
And he said that he is going to fight for this bill tooth and nail.
Yeah.
That he is against ethnic parties, because by having the PR system, you are strengthening ethnic parties, you are strengthening communal type of parties, right? And he said that this has to stop, right? So I said, Faisal, at least you are taking a stand now, which is a great thing which you are doing. But ultimately, when it comes to parliament, for us, it's surprising that he has completely done a 360-degree turn.
Do you think he was being truthful when he said that he was asked to vote, that was what the president as the chairman of the party wanted?
No, the point is this, then either he should have, either there is no system in whatever they are doing.
Yeah.
Because if that was so, they should have never presented the bill in parliament.
Yeah.
So at the time they presented the bill, the president gave the assent to present it.
Yeah.
Then when it came for the vote, president is saying, don't vote for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, whom are they trying to hoodwink for us? And mind you, president's Yahapalana promise
Yeah.
is to change the electoral system.
Yeah.
It's to change the electoral
Yeah.
system. And now, for instance, now see who is at advantage if this election is not held. Who is at advantage? It is the incumbent government which is not.
Yes, because they're hanging on to power.
They're hanging on to power, right? And you take the local government election. The UNP thought that with the split of the SLFP,
Yeah.
with the split of the SLFP, the Mahinda Rajapaksa fraction, the Pohottuwa, and then the SLFP, the Maitripala Sirisena fraction, with that the UNP will be able to forge through as victorious in the local government election.
Right.
But what happened was, out of the 340 councils,
Yeah.
250 councils went to the Pohottuwa. 250 councils went to the Pohottuwa. So it is, the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall that there is no way that this government can secure a comfortable majority or a victory in the provincial council elections vis-a-vis the results of the local government elections held this year. So as a result of that, at any cost, they want to postpone this election. And not only that, they are postponing this election, they are ruining the country, they are selling its assets to foreign nationals at a pittance,
Yeah.
against all procedure.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is a must. This delimitation, this process must come. The first past the post system, the mixed system must come. Not only for the provincial council, even for parliament elections. Because for us, if it goes on this way, you will not be able to stop ministers, MPs amassing wealth to fight elections. Because you can see the amount of corruption even in the bond scam.
Yeah.
Every member who got caught red-handed with his pants down,
Yeah.
with having accepted checks, what was the reason? Elections, that's what they say.
Yeah.
But still then, the reason is for elections. So it is because of this PR system that they are taking money, they are getting corrupt, from the time they come to hold office, they are making money as to how to win the next election. When you become a minister, it is worse. You make more money because you want to protect your ministry and somehow be in power. So this system at all costs
Yeah.
must go, because it's a cancer for this country, and it is the root of corruption. The PR system is the root of corruption. It has to be completely eradicated, otherwise we will not be able to bring a proper democracy into this country.
Maitri, do you think greed has poisoned the very soul of various politicians,
Oh, yes.
especially at the top of the United National Party?
From the top to bottom, everyone, greed. It is greed for us. Absolute greed. And the PR
Because
system.
it's a great party, really, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's a lovely party. It's a lovely party. It has
I
done a lot.
personally have a lot of sympathy for them,
No,
but
me too.
I have more sympathy now because they're led by Ranil Wickremesinghe, and until he goes, I personally shan't vote for him.
No, that is the sentiment of, I feel 60 to 70% of the die-hard UNPers. That is the sentiment. Till he's there, they are not going to vote. I have met many people who have not voted for the UNP for the last maybe 10 or 12 years.
At the funeral of the former president's brother, Medan Mulliner, I was talking to somebody, and he said something most interesting that got me thinking. He said the biggest problem that we, as in their party, has is that nobody is fighting harder for the United National Party than the Sirasa network. And they said it's obvious that you all are passionate about that party, and you all are only doing this to try and get the party back on the railings. Do you get that feeling?
No. For us, I beg to differ.
Yeah.
I think for a vibrant democracy, there has to be opposition. And in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
there are only two main parties which have held power in this country. That is the UNP and the SLFP.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever one of these parties have got weak, democracy has gone astray.
Yeah.
Right? So I see it that, whoever is trying to prop up a party, right, is
Yeah.
trying to protect democracy indirectly, because the opposition, only if there is a strong opposition,
Yeah.
can a democracy flourish. Right? So, I mean,
What about the people? Shouldn't the people rise up against all
no,
these groups?
for us, people are not going to rise up. People are not going to rise up. People have voted a government into power. People have voted opposition into power. If the opposition is dead, what is the mechanism for the people to rise up? What is the mechanism? Otherwise, what happens is they become tools, like most of these strikes which are
Now,
taking
I'll
place.
tell you what we should do. Did you watch the clip yesterday of journalists asking Lakshman Kirialla questions? And they were asking him about various corruption things. And he kept mum. And he looked, in my view, he looked as guilty as hell. But in Parliament, within the sanctity of Parliament, with all the privileges, the attendant privileges, he's so vociferous. He's like a tiger in Parliament. But outside, he was like a toothless tiger. And he quietly slunk into his vehicle and off he went. Right? Now, a lot of people do that, including, unfortunately, dare I say it, the Prime Minister. He came to Parliament, he insisted that he change the system of awarding bonds. He comes on national television, he tells the media that not a red cent was lost in the bond, and yet he's ignoring bond 2. His government, his central bank, it's nearly 8 months and they have not started on the forensic audit.
No.
If they have, Dr. Kumaraswamy, please come out of your silence, come out of your shell and tell us that you've started the process, even if it's 8 months too late.
For us, that is not going to happen. If you think it's going to happen, I think you're also daydreaming, because Bond 1 has knocked this government completely off to the ring. They go into Bond 2, I mean, this government will not be in existence. That is why they are not starting the forensic audit. If they start the forensic audit, I would say within 6 months, a report will be, or an interim report will come out, and then you will know the magnitude of the loss. Now, presently, the loss is calculated on so much was taken, so much was invested, and on that basis. But when you do the forensic audit, they will be going into details of the loss.
Yeah.
Right? So then the total magnitude of the loss will be calculated with a forensic audit. So they will not do the forensic audit because they won't want anyone to know what the actual loss is. 1. 2. Bond 2, if Bond 1 was bad, I don't know what you can call Bond 2.
Well, Bond 1, it's very obvious. The 2 judges sitting on that commission, they said that they hold Arjuna Mahendran responsible, that he had passed on sensitive information and acted mala fide in the interest of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. So, ladies and gentlemen, surely when they say that, subject to magisterial decision, when they say that, it means that any money made there, that is called proceeds of crime.
Right.
That's proceeds of crime. And you then go and stick it into Bond 2, that becomes, it could be argued that that's money laundering.
Right.
Because you have the predicative offense could be the first bond, where they, and by the way, they did the EPF out of 8,500 million rupees.
Yeah.
The penalty is double that. And so together with the 8,500, we're talking 25 billion. I'd like to see Arjuna Aloysius and his mates send the consolidated fund cleared funds of 25 billion rupees. Can they do that, Mr. Malik Samaravikramana? Like you said, Tambasatayak Paduak na. There is a Paduak, sorry.
No, perfect. You're perfectly correct for us. They will never be able to make good these monies which they have frauded the country. right? And I think that is why they don't want any elections to come forward, because if an election comes, the people are going to reject them again completely this time. So therefore, they will delay this process.
But it's all fake.
Until maybe 2020, where the presidential election is going to come, and that is a must. That is a must. So we will have to see at that time what is going to happen.
It's a bit fake, isn't it? It's a bit fake, isn't it? That they talk about all sorts of things. Now, for example, Faiza Mustafa, he passes himself off as a legal man. And by virtue of the fact that he is so close to the president and he's a cabinet minister, it's clear that there's no gainsaying that he doesn't proffer his legal advice to the president. Now I'm wondering if he can't make out this difference, and if he says he needs this blessed delimitation process all over again, blah, 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 you know, I'm wondering whether he's actually a real legal man. I don't know. How can I check if he's passed all his exams?
No. I think he's passed all his exams. As a lawyer, he was a very competent lawyer.
Right.
I must say that. But now I think what has happened is, for us, most of them have sold their soul.
Is it driven by greed, do you think?
What is the other explanation you can give? What is the other explanation you can give? He's not a person who has come from nowhere.
Yes.
He's
of
son of an extremely eminent legal luminary of this country, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Faiz Mustafa.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, he's not a person who needs money to survive.
Yes.
Right? So, he has it. He's born with a silver spoon.
Right.
Right? So, I think it is now greed. Basically, power, greed for power.
Greed for power.
Greed for power. Power and perks and privileges and things like that. You know, all this. Now, what has happened is, for us, not like the good old days, where the parliamentarian or the minister gets into the train and comes to Colombo,
Indeed.
or they drive their own car. Now it is backup.
Was it Mr. Danaka who took his suitcase
and came by train to Colombo? So now it is backup security, you know, all that.
Yeah.
And that is the greed which they don't want to go. And the bad thing about this, the taxpayer is paying all this, subsidizing all this, for them to have the best of the best. So I don't think they are going to.
A viewer made a different observation. Same line though. He says Pfizer is nothing but an expensive courier, because that's what he's done, hasn't he? You know, he's taken it there. Why couldn't he have a backbone and say, no, I'm not going to, if you're forcing me to present this thing, I'm going to resign. Or if he was forced to present it, why couldn't he say, I'm going to abstain, at the least?
No, but after having presented it,
you've got to vote for it.
You have to be there.
Yeah.
You have to be, so he had no way out.
Yeah.
He had no way out. So it's a very unfortunate situation for us. It's, I mean, democracy at its lowest ebb, I feel.
Now then, the other thing is, so what will happen? What do you think? Now it's going to a committee.
Now
Ranil will get his own way.
That's right. Now the committee, who is the chairman of the committee? Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Yeah.
Now he himself is going to be the benefactor of not having the election. So he will always do everything possible to procrastinate this further.
Yeah.
And not have the election. There is no doubt about it.
So they're going straight for presidential.
They are going straight for presidential.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So I'd like to tell, if, somehow we need to send a message to Navi Pillay, former UN. Because at the time, she complained about a growing authoritarianism in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Well,
There is
the
no
diplomatic
bigger-
community, are you blind, are you deaf to what's going on in our Sri Lanka right now? There is a growing departure from process. There is growing authoritarianism on the part of this government led by Prime Minister Wickremesinghe.
For us, during the Mahinda Rajapaksa regime, we were critical of him having elections every 6 months. We were critical.
Yeah.
But he had elections.
Yeah.
And at every election, they were voted They were given the mandate.
Yeah.
So basically it was very clear that the people of this country was with them,
Yeah.
right? But now, after this government having come into power, with the greatest difficulty,
Yeah.
having pushed and pushed and pushed, we had the local government elections.
Yeah.
Now again, it's another Herculean task to have the provincial council elections, right? So they just don't want to have democratic elections in this country. So by doing that, they're only showing that they know that the people are not with them, and if they go for an election, they're going to get a complete rousing out of their lives. So therefore, they're very clearly avoiding it.
And you know, back to that Lakshman Kirialla business where he didn't even bother answering the question. Do you know, he said that there was no need for him to be corrupt because he had 400 million in the bank account, or they had access to. Well, if you're so open about your personal finances, why didn't he make public his asset and liabilities declaration? Nobody can stop him doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to put it out, you can do it out.
No, and you're supposed to put it out.
Yes.
If he has not put it into the assets and declaration.
No, the problem is that he's probably put it in, but even if we get it, we can't discuss it, we can't publicize it, and so on. But what I'm saying, Maitri, is if he told everyone who was listening that he had 400 million. Well, fine. If you're so outspoken about your personal finances, as he was, then why doesn't he, for God's sake, man, put it out into the public, have a press conference, and release his asset declaration, and say, now what? He can't do it for a very obvious reason.
No, but the point is for us, once it's in the assets declaration,
Yeah.
you have to give a clear and specific account of what the assets and where the monies are. And that is a public document. The assets declaration for us is a public document.
Yeah.
So no one can con the asset declaration. If you don't divulge all the information, you are subject to taken to courts. If the asset declaration has not been done properly, there is a special act. If you don't submit your asset declaration, you're taken to courts. If you submit an assets declaration and someone comes and proves the contrary, that you have not submitted it properly, it is not true and correct, then again you are subject to prosecution.
But I want to ask this. We're now approaching the end, well, there'll be about 10 months, 12 months away for elections.
Yeah.
All right?
No, maybe about 14 to 15 months.
All right. Then, think about it. The war ended in 2009.
9.
The displaced people and the people whose lands were taken and so on, and the Muslim community were ejected by the LTT and were turned up in Putlam, and the people from the tsunami who lost their homes and so on. Do you know, they've been waiting for a long time for a house. 2009, what do you think the people of the former conflict areas, just take them, are going to say to people like Mr. Swaminathan and so on, and say, what have you done for us? Where are the houses? They talked about steel houses, plastic houses, mud houses even maybe, who knows, bricks and mortar, whatever. For heaven's sake, get on with it. Chinese, Indian, French, Spanish, whatever. The bottom line is they haven't done anything. These politicians, the people will curse them.
No, for us, I thank you very much for bringing this question, because I was in Jaffna 1.5 months ago for the purpose of developing our party in Jaffna.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed was it is the TNA who are standing in the way of any kind of development in the north and the east, because they want the people to be always impoverished. And then what happens is, during an election, they beat up communal war drums, get the vote and come back. To be very, very frank, for us, if not for the army, if not for the church and other Christian organizations in those areas, the people in the Jaffna Peninsula will have a very, very, very bad deal. because the TNA in every instance is completely against any kind of development in that area. Now, I went to Vadamarachi. There are thousands of youth who are unemployed, who have no employment and they don't see a future for any kind of employment. Whilst there are thousands of acres in those areas which are uncultivated. At least now you see the Vyaramadevi Park, it has been maintained by an organization called CDS, Civilian Defense Service or whatever. Now that they have taken youth, they have trained them and they are doing something. At least the government, I mean, without robbing money like this from the bond scam, they could have spent that money, given employment in the form of the CDS, Civilians Defense Service, and started at least growing cashew, growing coconut, right, and doing some kind of economic activity in the north for the youth in those areas.
Yes.
Because otherwise what is going to happen is, for us, people are going to take up to arms again, not because of choice, because they have absolutely no choices, there is no employment, there is no future, right, and they are going to take up to arms. And the other thing is, for us, fishing. In Vadamarach, it's a fishing village. Fishing is also curtailed because what is happening is now Indian trawlers are coming into our waters and catching all our fish, right? So when the Navy takes them into custody, it is the TNA which makes a huge noise and cry about it and wants these people released. So basically, they are working towards making the people more impoverished in the Jaffna Peninsula. They would not want houses to be built. They want them to be in temporary shelters. Because if they are in temporary shelters, if they are given proper schools, if they are given proper facilities, they will start shouting, they will want more, they will get more educated. Therefore, the TNA is playing an extremely selfish game only to keep themselves in power and for them to be a bargaining chip in this whole country. And if you see, the TNA is the opposition in this country today. The main opposition leader of this country is the TNA. And what do? They are the main people who help the bond scam, who help the Prime Minister to be in power. So are they playing their role properly? Is the opposition of this country, the TNA, playing its role to the best interest of the country? No. They are doing it only, they are all horse deals. They must have accepted money. That is why the TNA supported the bond scam. Sambandhan, Honorable Mr. Sambandhan, being an attorney, senior attorney at law, if he could not see that this was an absolute robbery, daylight robbery, I mean, what more than that does anyone want?
And let's not forget that Mr. Sambandhan wanted, because he also automatically sort of developed a lack of English. He wanted the Tamil translation and therefore held up the proceedings on the debate on that bond. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
No, this is a
why isn't he asking that about the delimitation thing then? Why isn't he doing that?
It all goes to show for us that these people are 100%, either they are corrupt or they are intellectually dishonest.
Or both.
Or both.
A senior citizen, one of our regular viewers, has asked, can Sri Lanka be deemed to be a failed state?
There is nothing to deem, it's a failed state. There is nothing to deem. Right. There is nothing to contemplate. If this is not a failed state, there is no other failed state.
Well, they will delay the elections. Meanwhile, they will insult our starving people by throwing money at useless, unplanned projects, and they will continue to do that.
Now for us, they have started something called Gamperaliya.
Yes.
Then the president has started something else. Now, are these funds checked? Who is funding them? It is the public funds which are being used, right? It is public funds which are being used. We call upon the Auditor General without holding postmortems. After the funds are spent, without holding postmortems, they should now put their officials into this Gamperaliya program, into the other program which the president is running, because all these are all aimed at elections. These are for purpose of buying votes. right? So the Auditor General should go into it now and see every cent, whether it is being spent properly, whether tender procedure is being adopted, what is...
But they're trying to squeeze the Auditor General, but he's refusing to be squeezed.
No, but still,
Yes.
with his powers, he should put someone there and see that there is no misappropriation of funds. Because
These politicians, you know, they do all sorts of projects unplanned, and they're spending money that we don't have.
no, because this is going to cost billions of rupees.
Yeah,
they are
absolutely.
saying that there is no money, they are taxing the people, they are bringing new acts.
These politicians will be cursed. But, Mighty Gunaratne, you'll be happy to hear that the Gammada door-to-door campaign is starting again today. It goes on for a month.
No, for
It
us,
starts from three places.
That has been done by your program. For us, that is not public funds,
Yes.
right? That is done by your network.
And the public
participation, and that is. I am not talking about that.
Yes.
I am talking of the Gamperelia program, which has been started by the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister.
Yes.
The Gamperelia program. So now this, if it is not checked, I mean, there is no point after 5-6 years, the Auditor General coming and saying, you know, we have done a post-mortem and we have lost 100 billion rupees.
You want him to do it now?
We want him to do it now. Check, put his officials and check it. And that's what he should do. That's what the Auditor General should do, because no one is interested in post-mortems. What is the point when billions have been lost?
That's absolutely true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end. And I'll leave you again with this message. Mighty Gunaratne, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that's the way it was on Newsline on Tuesday, the 28th of August 2018. And here we go. We'll leave you with this message. It's an important one. Take care. God bless.
Democracy is not an option, it's a must. Thank you very much.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.